Okay, I wanted to take a few minutes to walk through the master list, which is also called the name list, the index items table, the index metadata list table, and the index metadata items table, which is a new table for 131. So the master list, or is now called the name list, is a list of students or people at the school that come from systems like eBiz or an external load, or it can actually be added manually. But this is what I kind of refer to as the official student that's in the book. Now, the master list allows you to add new entries, and in this example, we have Timothy Barnes and John Vester, and we actually had Nicole Marshall that came in, say, from eBiz. Well, now Nicole Marshall is actually Nicole Vester. So the master list, also known as a name list, allows you to combine entries, and when it does, it sets the parent ID for the child record. So we know that Nicole Marshall is also Nicole Vester. Now for schools that are using the index builder, they can do the same thing. So as data comes in, maybe there's going to be entries for Nicole Marshall in the yearbook and Nicole Vester. Well, they can merge those as well, even cases to where the Nicole Marshall with an H gets added in. They can actually merge that to Nicole Marshall and merge Nicole Marshall into Nicole Vester. Now, a few releases ago in HTML, we actually changed it so that when you have a parent-child relationship, that we always point to the actual parent and we don't actually have a hierarchy. That's something that we probably need to look at in the master list, name list, and HTML to see the effort to actually follow that same pattern, because it's been quite successful. So as you're entering data into the book, you're placing portraits on a page or tagged candidates and dropping them on a page, or you're doing a portrait flow and you have text boxes. All that information flows into the database in this index metadata table. So at a page level, it identifies who's on that page. So on page 1, maybe we have Nicole Marshall, and we have Nicole Marshall on page 2 with an H, and then Nicole Marshall's on page 3. And then you can see, we down to page 6, we actually have Nicole Vester, Timothy Barnes, and John Vester, all three on the same page. So they're different entries because it's based upon the person and the page grain. So in the current version 130 and before, and in production at the time this video was taken, there's a usage count variable on each record. So we'll say, hey, Nicole Marshall was on page 1 and she was on there 1 time. Maybe 102, she was on there, say, 2 times, right? But you really had no insight into, well, what did that mean? What were the 1 items and the 2 items? So what we decided to do with the new index builder preferences and the coverage report improvements for 131 is introduce this index metadata items table. And so what that does, instead of reading those values in and setting the usage count, we're going to provide additional details in this new table so that we know, okay, Nicole Marshall's on page 1, but what's on page 1? Well, we have a text frame name and a portrait data. Well, that's a clear sign that this is a portrait flow, this is Nicole's photo, and this is a text frame that contained her name. So that only counts as 1 with our current business rules. However, if on page 3, there's a name tag, a picture name tag, and then there's a text frame name where maybe Nicole's being quoted about the volleyball team's season. Well, that actually counts as 2. So when we start diving in deeper, we can actually reveal better information to the coverage report so that you can click on it and say, okay, well, great, Nicole's on the page 3 times, but what is it? Because maybe I want some more coverage on there. So that's something that we're working towards with 131. And with those improvements that we're making, the biggest thing that we're doing is actually eliminating the need for the index items full table to be part of the coverage report. Because after analysis of the data, we realized the only thing we really need from the index items table when we're doing a coverage report is this index items parent IDs relationship. And this will allow us to know that Nicole Marshall, with and without an H, is actually Nicole Vester, and Nicole Vester is actually in the name list or master list, which is used by the coverage report. So I know that's probably a lot of data, which is why I recorded this, and hopefully I'm making sense of what I'm doing, but I just wanted to give some high-level details. These other tables, if you dive into the code, you can actually find more out about them, but they're just kind of supplemental to make sure the process is working correctly. So thanks for watching.